now listening to INCRadio United Kingdom Satellite Studio.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone tuning in right now. This is Brother CJ Elisan from the District of Ireland, local congregation of Dublin, and welcome to another show of INC Radio United Kingdom Satellite Studio. And of course, I'm not alone for today's show. I will have my co-host with me, brothers. Oh no, not a brother, sister Senli. Medina. Hello,
I
sister.
I don't know who you were thinking about, but
I'm sorry, apologies.
but very much a sister. Hello, everyone. Good
100% a
afternoon.
sister.
Good afternoon. Good morning, and good evening. Yes, to Brother CJ first, and to everyone joining us on INC Radio United Kingdom Satellite Studio. And again, before we begin, I'd like to just give a big shout out to Sister Lani King. She's always the first one to leave her comment on the
Oh
YouTube
yeah.
live chat. So, as always, Sister Lani,
I think she has
welcome.
an alarm clock always with her, sister Sunny.
Yes,
Whenever
and
it's like INC radio time.
yes, on the dot. So, Sister Lani, hello, and
Hello
to
po.
everyone joining us. Yes, and again, before I completely forget to introduce myself, I'm Sister Sadly Grace Medina from the District of Ireland, like Brother CJ, and from the local congregation of Dublin South. And it's been an eventful Sunday afternoon for me. What about you, Brother CJ?
Well, it was a cold and quiet afternoon for me, Sister Sanli. Oh, that's because I've already attended my worship services yesterday and
Mm-hmm,
Saturday, and also performed my services my duties yesterday as well. So
mm-hmm.
it was a peaceful afternoon for me as opposed to your eventful one. Well, although it would have been nice to share with how eventful it was your Sunday was.
It was eventful in a way that it's just everything is just like back to back to back. But we're so used to it now at this point that
I
it's
could
becoming
say.
like the norm, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's always us, especially for the officers in the Church of Christ, to always have our weekends packed with,
Yes.
especially with the church activities going one after another. But for today's show, Sister Sandy, for our episode today, for this week, what are we going to expect, or what our viewers will be expecting for us from us today?
And like, yes, Brother Seer, there's so much to unpack and to share to everyone joining us on INC Radio today, the 3rd of November 2024. And it's just 4 minutes past 4 o'clock. So for those who are tuning in at this time, just remember we are we're providing the show at 4 p.m. British Standard Time. So before it was 5 p.m. because of like the slight time change because of now we're in the winter period for those who don't know. And it's the 3rd of November 2024. And today we will be discussing our topic discussion, which is winter preparedness. And for those who are joining us, please join along with us as we discuss this very timely and very informative topic discussion. Me and Brother CJ will talk to each other and ask each other some very practical tips so that we could fully prepare ourselves for the upcoming winter months and winter period. And also during our program, we will also be discussing the recently conducted activities in the districts of Britain South, Britain North, and the Republic of Ireland. And that segment is called Christian Family in Action, Christian Family Organization in Action. Stumbling upon my own words. Where like again we are going to discuss to you recently conducted activities in those three districts. Now we're gonna dive into our very practical topic discussion, right, Brother CJ?
Yes, absolutely, Sister Sen. Like you've mentioned, we'll go over our preparedness or all of the tips that we have to remember as we prepare for the oncoming winter season. And I can actually feel it now on my fingertips. I can feel it freezing. Maybe because I had my window open. I'm not sure what I'm thinking about why I had my window open. Like I just mentioned to you earlier that I had a peaceful and yeah, I had a peaceful Sunday afternoon, and I just realized now that I had my windows open. That's probably why I couldn't feel. I'm starting to have my numbs. Yeah, my numb fingers at the moment.
But for those who are like quite new in the United Kingdom or even in Ireland, like
Yes,
for me, I would still very much is like I'm very much still into like opening my windows even during winter time to air out my house and
that's
my
true.
room, you
Yes,
know.
I
So
think it's also because when you have your radiators or you have your heaters on, it would eventually make the air inside the room stuffy. That's probably
yes,
why it's also practical to have just a slight just a slight opening of the window. If you're lucky enough to have a window in your room.
yes. Like me, I have two, like right behind me.
Very
But
good.
yes, Brother CJ, we'll go straight into our winter preparedness segment. And again, as I've already mentioned during the beginning of our program, it's very quite timely and practical. So for those who are tuning in, for those who are quite new in the country of Ireland or even in the United Kingdom, please do tune in to hear about very practical tips that you could take on to prepare you for your first winter, maybe, or maybe for those who are very seasoned winter people already. Maybe you could share your own tips on the YouTube live chat, and we could read that out so that everybody could share your very practical tips, and we could benefit from it, right, Brother CJ?
Yes, exactly, Sister Stanley. And like you mentioned, this is very timely for those who are experiencing winter for the first time, and also for those who are experiencing winter for the first time in November, because as we all know, people from the land down under, they always have their winters during the month of May, as
Yes.
opposed to us here that starts in November. So
Mhm.
it's also a big adjustment for them if there are people, or if there are viewers of ours here at the moment who are from those parts of the world that are currently adjusting to the change of season at the
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And now, Brother CJ, we will be I'll be asking you the first question that we have for our topic discussion this afternoon. So firstly, Brother CJ, what are some precautions you undertake in preparation for the winter months? I know I have a few, but I'll get you started with your own one first.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Sister Stanley, apart from preparing really really cold, oh no, not cold, really thick jackets and sweatshirts, and knitted sweatshirts, because we always go outside for like for work, we're going to work, and also going to worship services, attending our worship services, and all of our activities. Apart from preparing our clothing, we also have to prepare for those who are driving. Like myself, we always have to prepare our cars as well, especially for those of us, for the majority who doesn't have like a heated garage or like a heated internal parking space. Uh, because majority of people, I think, in the suburbs of Dublin and the UK, they always have their cars parked outside in the driveway or even in their front yard. Um, I think it's always practical for the drivers to always get their cars winter checked. That's what they call it. For just to prepare their cars for the winter, their kits for the winter. Because it always happens when after a really cold night, when you wake up in the morning and you jump on your car, you wouldn't see a thing because the windscreens are covered, or even your mirrors are covered in frost. And it's always, well, for me personally, it annoys me. But it's not something that it's not something that I can have control over. So I think it's important um to give an extra time for your car to prepare, to prepare itself as well. So an extra time for yourself to prepare, and also for your mode of transport to prepare, in this case, your vehicle. And just because I think it's because from my own personal experience, it does take an extra time to prepare for the journey on in the morning. especially during the winter time, because you have to heat up your engine first, and then if the windscreens are covered in frost, you have to, of course, you have to melt it away, otherwise you wouldn't see a thing. What some drivers do, and by some drivers meaning not me including.
I was gonna say, I was gonna mention it.
Exactly. Because I always forget. Well, there's this thing called that you put in under the hood. Instead of water on the windscreen washer, you put the defroster or de-icer. It's a very practical one for melting the frost on your windscreens. But I guess for I think majority the majority practice for the popular practice for the majority of drivers would be just to melt it with just water. Not boiling water though. That's one thing. Well, if you don't have access to a de-icer anyway, or a defroster, you can have hot water or even just cold water. Actually, I've read an article on the internet that you don't really need to have boiling water, because boiling water, when you put it on your when you when you pour it on your windscreen, it's literally gonna break it apart. It's gonna leave a crack, if not to totally break it.
Oh, that's like good to know actually,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you see a lot of people like holding up their kettles, like their like
Yeah,
coffee or like tea kettles, and pouring a very very like newly boiled kettle
yeah,
full of hot water directly on their windshield,
yeah.
and
Which
like
is
I feel like that's gonna damage it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. It's very, which is very dangerous because of the difference in the temperature. You know, with the with a boiling hot of pot water, and then you pour it on your very cold and freezing windscreen. That's gonna totally damage the glass part of your windscreen, which could cost you a few quid for for repairs, but which is not really practical. So
Yeah, instead of you getting ahead and preparing yourself for your normal routine in the morning, getting ready for like a frosty winter morning, you end up damaging your windscreen, then
yes,
splurging out on a new
exactly.
windscreen.
Yes, absolutely. Now, lukewarm water uh is enough, or even just a cold water. Because I've tried it. I've tried it last winter. I remember. I was very skeptical at first whether cold water would actually work. But in the rush hours of the morning where I was running late for work, I didn't have time to go back to the house. So, but I had a cold water with me, so I decided to try it out, and it actually worked. And it does melt the ice on your windscreen, not totally, but just enough for you to wait for your engine to heat up, and then let the car melt the ice itself, because it does do it. The car does it. The heating system of the car does help in melting the frost, in the overnight frost on your windscreen.
Like,
It
Brother
melts
CJ, I
frost.
know we were talking about this even before we went on live.
Yeah,
We were talking about how some people like very, very educated and like very prepared people, that they try and put together a winter, like a car winter preparedness kit in their
yeah,
cars, like to help them to navigate, like, because sometimes there would be uh like freak snowstorms here in Ireland, and
yeah,
like
absolutely.
from freak snowstorms, we'd like to inform everybody. Like here in Ireland, a little bit of sleet and snow would bring everything into a halt.
Yeah,
So, like a
bring
little
the
bit of
whole country down.
yes, no, but it's very true, because like a little bit of snow, like especially for some of the areas here in Ireland, which is a bit hilly and a bit in the higher inclined kind of like places. It's hard to go downhill or even get uphill after work, so like we have to be prepared even in the slightest chance of snowing here in Ireland. So I
Yeah,
know some people would have like their emergency snow kits in the back of their car prepared, like maybe a like a a normal winter jacket, but a high visibility jacket, but more padded. Just so you know that
Yeah.
if your car needs to be towed and you have to stay outside the car and wait for the towing, then you're still in the high visibility jacket, but a winter jacket. And then like we were saying that some people like bring in like specific tools that you use for winter, and we were talking about this what do you call the new tires that you use for snowy conditions?
Yeah, those are wheel tire sleeves for the snow. Because when the roads get really slippery, the wheels couldn't hold on to it. Like the design of the wheels itself isn't enough to hold it when it's in contact with the road. So some drivers do have their wheel sleeves with them for the snow and for the frost. And I think it's really practical for especially for countries like Ireland and the UK who has a high likelihood of experiencing really frosty. That's what they call black ice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
black
a term
ice.
for it.
Yeah, like if it's dangerous for people, it's most likely dangerous for cars as well. Like it would lose the effectivity of your brakes. And also one tool to have, I think for drivers to have in their winter kits, is an ice scraper. Like
Yes.
if they don't have access to, um, like if they're really conscious of pouring hot water on their windscreens, they could use an ice scraper instead, which is safer. I guess in the car, just don't try and scratch your your windscreen car with your windscreen.
Yeah, no, I know some people that would like very harshly scrape off
Yes,
ice for
exactly.
snow, which again it will damage your windshield or the parts of your car where the
Yeah.
snow is sitting. But like there are more practical, like more efficient ways
Mm.
to get rid of the snow, right? And I don't know if you've seen it, brother CJ, but maybe some of our listeners and our viewers could give the proper term for it. I think it's like an insulated cover that you could put
Oh
on top
yeah,
of your windshield, and then you lift it up to like take off the snow, obviously,
yeah,
and like make sure like your windshield is kind of like a normal way that your windshield is. Like it's insulated
yes,
on
exactly.
one side. I Do you know how it's called?
I'm not sure what it's called, Sister Sandy, but I have one of those. I've just not have been using them because I'm so lazy.
Please don't be like brother CJ.
I'm trying to set trying to set a bad example out there. But yeah, actually it's really no, I think because it's only practical during it's only really useful during sub-zero temperatures. Like if you're looking at the weather app and during the coming days or weeks, you know that the temperatures are going below zero. You'd really have to make the effort of putting in. I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's like an insulated cover of some sort. Like what you said.
Yeah.
It's like it's made of like a little bit of it's a sheet of foam with an insulated material on top of it, where you put it on top of your windscreen and then seal it through your front doors. Um, but I think all the drivers out there, car owners out there, know what we're talking about, Sister Sandy. But
Yes.
it's really practical, especially during the winter, which it can be actually be usable during the summer as well because it shields your windshield from directly from the sun, which minimizes the heat inside your car once you get onto it. Because sometimes during the summer, when it's really scorching hot, we get into our car and we feel like we're getting roasted, literally, and then we come out as a delicious, rotisserie chicken or something like that. But during winter, it's mostly usable, just in order to prevent your windshields from getting frozen overnight, and just to have a visible, a much more visible drive as well, and which in turn saves you an extra time from scraping or pouring some water on top of your windscreen, lessens the damage as well.
And I know brother CJ, we've been talking about a lot about our our cars, right? But on a personal level or on a health level, what are some of the things that you prepare ahead, just so you could be prepared for, like the very harsh weather conditions that we're going to experience, or even just to keep yourself in the same shape, same, like, health condition all throughout the winter months.
Yes. Well, it's funny that you said that you have to maintain your shape during winter, because when it's cold, it's always nice to just snuggle there and roll in your bed
Yeah,
and not do anything.
it's very
Um,
tempting. It's very
it is
tempting.
very tempting, yeah. And just a few hours ago, before we went live, Sister Stanley, I was deciding whether I should go gym or just stay on my bed. So this is very timely.
And like, as we mentioned, like, already, yes, it's very tempting, but during the winter months there's so many more influences that could make us stay indoors, but obviously we can't keep that going. Like, we have to keep
Yes.
our bodies active. For you, what is the, like, one thing that you keeps you kind of like more motivated to keep moving, or maybe something that you um uh got into the habit of doing now in preparation for the winter?
I think it's just well, for me personally, apart from discipline, because like that's something that comes from inside of you and that you have to develop eventually. uh well, discipline, and also because well, from in my own personal experience, just after a few days without having worked out or going to the gym, um my body always looks for it. Like it's kind of as if like my body's going craving for it, um to tell. And just it's also it's yeah it's well, for those who are used to working out and going to the gym anyway, I think it's kind of like a muscle memory of some sort, that it's when once you develop that kind of habit, it just you just go into it right away, no matter the weather. um but I guess it's when you're really motivated, you'd really would go for it no matter what kind of influences, whether it's really cold. And I think it would actually be nice to go out running in the cold weather, not just when it's dark, because it's hard to see when it's dark, but during the cold weather, because it's much more, I guess it's much more refreshing. Um it's just hard sometimes when it's really gloomy because
Yeah, no, for me, what is the, like, what makes me a bit more apprehensive to go on runs is when I see that it's a bit more darker. But the actual
yeah,
feeling of it, once you step out and actually push yourself to start running, it's the best feeling, because unlike in the summer, you're so out of breath, and like you're
yeah,
kind of like trying to catch up with your breath, and then everything is so hot, like you could
yes,
feel like
absolutely,
the ground is like so hot that it's emanating the heat, and then you're trying to catch your breath. It's not the best sensation, but
yeah,
during the winter months it's quite refreshing. But only the only difference is, like, for those who run not like regularly, or try and run every now and again, like the best feeling is not having too many, like, there you have layers, maybe a layer in the beginning, and then you just tuck that um uh between, like, around your waist, and then you just keep on going, and the coldness kind of refreshes you and keeps you kind of like up and running, I don't know
yeah.
if, like, people experience that, for our viewers and our listeners, those who run, like, every now and again. But yeah, it's a nice feeling. But
It is, yeah.
brother CJ, let me ask you, actually, do you, for, like, I know it's a very personal choice, but do you try and prepare, or maybe book some health checks, or even health book your vaccination, I mean, for like flu, or maybe even COVID? Are you the type of a person that would get ahead for the winter and book things like that,
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Sister Stanley. Because as early as last week of as the as early as the final week of October, some pharmacies in the country, I suppose, do offer their early winter vaccines. flu vaccines already, so it's always nice to take advantage of that. And if your employers provide it to you as well for with no extra charge, it's always good to take advantage of it. But either otherwise anyway, if you don't have any access to those kind of services, it's always good to prepare yourselves with like medicines for in case of flu. And it's always good to have for me as well. I always prepare myself with during the cold months. Apart from the tasty ramen noodles, I always prepare myself with medicines for the flu, for the cold. Those kind of medicines where you can just like make a tea out of it, or
Mm.
those little powders with some flavors on them. They're really actually really good. Because not only can you make them as a tea, or you can only I mean you can only make them when you're sick anyway. It's not like something you can really like a regular tea. But if you're going for like just the regular tea, it's always good to have those, especially during the cold season.
For me, you know what I'm really getting into. I don't know if our viewers and our listeners are familiar to it. I think the supermarkets or retail shops are offering it now. It's a juice version of your ginger or apple
Oh,
or like any citrus fruits in a shot form. So it's more like a juice but in a concentrated form. So like whenever you're feeling a bit like not sick, but like that feeling that how you're like feeling when you're about to get sick, but it's just starting on your throat or in the back of
yeah,
your throat,
the
that
itchy
feeling.
throat. Yeah, the
Yeah,
itchy
and
throat
or even
feeling.
if you're a bit more sluggish than usual,
Yeah,
I usually take those fruit juice shots, and it's a blend of ginger and citrus fruits, and most of the shops offer them now, and it's a nice way of like I feel like yeah, it's a more natural way of dealing with a little bit of like sniffles or like itchy throat, like especially in the morning when you wake up and you don't feel 100% yourself, you know
yeah,
just have like a little drink of that, and then it gets me up and going, and like I completely forget that I have that itchy feeling on my throat,
yeah.
which
And
helps you know
exactly, yeah. And apart from those as well, Sister Stanley, it's good to have one of those what do they call it? Lozenges. I'm not sure if I'm
Yes.
saying it right.
Yes,
Lozenges.
lozenges do really help because they have like components. It looks, obviously it looks like a normal sweet, but there are
Yeah,
components within that kind of lozenge that neutralizes whatever you're feeling in your throat and your like mouth. So it
yeah.
relieves that itchy feeling on your throat.
Yes, exactly. It always starts with the itchy throat for some reason. For everybody who's like and then after that, going forward, it's just cold, and the chilly feeling, the shiver,
Mm.
and the can't breathe at night feeling.
Yes, no, and
It's so
also like the
annoying.
warmness, sometimes you get a little bit feverish. So
Yeah,
yeah, like for me too, I try and combat that with booking in my vaccines for the winter months. And again, as you've mentioned, for the district or Republic of Ireland, for those who don't know, the HSE, the Health Services Executive here in Ireland, so they're the ones responsible for anything healthcare related. So, for those who don't know, flu vaccines and COVID vaccines are free for anyone who wants to avail it. There
yeah,
are many GP offices, or even chemists or pharmacies offering them. So it's just a matter of researching and booking in a place close to you. So it's offered free for those who don't know. Maybe they don't know that they could avail of it. So yes, HSE offers it for free. And as Brother CJ has mentioned, there are some employments where they allow their employees to have the vaccines on site. And it's very helpful. You don't need to go into another place and have your vaccine shots. It's there directly at your workplace.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly. And for those who are tuning in with us, Sister Stanley, from the United Kingdom, if you would likely if you would be kindly to if you would kindly share your services there in the UK as well, in the live chats, so we could mention them, and also for so we could share them to our viewers in the UK as well, if they have the same services as here in the Republic of Ireland, which is really good, like you mentioned.
Oh, and before we continue on, Brother CJ, I'd like to just point out and give a big shout out to all of the ministers and workers in the District of Britain South. I'd like to say hello to Brother Harley and Brother Seth. They were commenting all along during the start of our program,
Oh,
and
love
also
po.
to the many ministers and workers in Britain South. So I'd like to say hello to them and spending a little bit of your Sunday afternoon with us. And yes, let's continue on with our topic discussion. Brother CJ, I know there's two more questions that we have to discuss between each other. So what's our next question?
All right, so the second question there, Sister Stanley, what are some practical tips that helped during the previous winters? So I
Like
guess this is looking back to the previous winters.
mhm.
What have we learned
For
that
me,
we should
Brother
be doing
CJ, I didn't realize it. It's very recent, but it's such a simple thing that I didn't realize only until like two winters ago. The proper winter layering is
Yeah,
essential. Um, that it helps you a lot, especially if you're doing a lot of outdoor traveling or even outdoor work. Yeah, outside. So like proper investing in proper layering clothes is essential. You don't have to spend a fortune to invest on a proper layering winter gear, but it's just a matter of like putting together things that like obviously match and go well together, and also researching about the materials, like for example researching about really high quality winter coats, like weatherproof jackets. I didn't realize there's different specific categories for a day-to-day jacket, a day-to-day coat. Like, there's a dress coat that you need to wear for inside when you're doing something a bit more dressy. But when it comes to things that you need, a jacket that you need to wear, for example, when you're outdoors and you're gonna be exposed to different types of weather condition, there are specific jackets or coats that we need to get for those type of conditions. And I didn't know, and I do hope our listeners and viewers know this as well, that there is there is a difference between what you call it, um, weather a rainproof jacket and a weatherproof jacket and something else. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, there's a difference. There's insulation levels, and there's difference with the materials that the like for example maybe let me try and explain it like simply, like
I think what you're talking about, Sister Stanley, are insulated jackets, insulated puffer jackets,
yeah,
because
and
not all
there
insulated puffer jackets are rainproof.
yeah, and also I didn't realize there are some materials where like the water bounces off, so
Oh,
it doesn't seep into the material of the jacket. It just
nice.
glides off, it slides. So I'm not sure if it's the rainproof or the weatherproof jacket that has that material, but I'm gonna research about it, and maybe our listeners and our viewers can point out which one is which. But yes, there's a
Or
difference.
maybe there's a combination of it now out there available.
Yes,
Never
kind
know.
of like in between. But like even researching a little bit about what's appropriate for winter could help you a lot, especially moving around in the colder conditions. And
Yes.
yeah, looking back at that now, I don't know how many years I've spent being really really cold when there's no need to, when you could actually just properly layer yourself and not be twisting and kind of having your arms around your body just to maintain the heat.
Just to try and trick yourself that you're warm.
Yes, no, yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, for me, for Sister Stanley, what I've really learned during the previous winter, I guess, what stuck to me. Well, I've mentioned this earlier. For the drivers, using cold water instead of warm or boiling water, which is a big no-no. And when you're trying to melt your frost on your windscreen, one tip that could actually be really useful. It was actually a colleague that shared this to me about heated blankets. There are actually blankets out there now available um in the shops where it's like where you yeah, it's kind of like an electronic blanket of some sort, because like there's a wire stuck to it where you have to plug it in somewhere, and then you turn it on, and in turn heats up your blanket, which in turn could save you like yeah, which could save you from big energy bills, because you could just turn your heater off and then just use your heated blanket on your bed when you during bedtime. Because if you're just going to use your normal duvet, you're going to suffer a few minutes of shivering before you could actually feel the warmth
Yeah, and
part of your
like
duvet.
trying to like switch all of the the other heaters that you have just to warm up the room,
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
could do something so quick that you could just put in your blanket, like plug in your blanket and it's ready to go. You feel warm instantly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's one thing that could really that could our viewers would really be able to help them prepare during the winter, during the cold winters.
And also, let me just point out also, for our listeners and our viewers, for those who have their first home, or yeah, they've just purchased their first home, or maybe they just move into the UK or Ireland and it's your first time kind of checking the way that a British or an Irish home is kind of put together. But maybe we need to check the pipings of the home that we're in, because like we need to prevent things from leaking, from causing a blockage during the winter months, especially if there are areas within our pipes where water might be clogged, and it becomes ice during the very cold winter months, and it will prevent you from having normal, like good quality water running through your home. So even just a regular checkup with your plumber before we head into the more colder periods, from November to December, is essential. Just having a plumber check in your piping, or even like some regular checkups or maintenance around the house before the winter months is essential.
Yes, exactly, Sister Stanley. It's also not only it would save you from high energy bills from your heater, but also could save you from a potential hazard or a fire hazard maybe, because sometimes when you use gas for your heatings, for your house heatings, and then a leak happens, that's potential fire hazard.
Yes, that's so true. And like just making sure that our regular day-to-day electronics appliances around the house are still wired properly, because you automatically think that when in the colder months everything will be fine, because nothing's overheating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we think that everything's gonna run smoothly, but there are some things that are triggered by the colder weather conditions. So it's better to have checks by a certified electrician to do the checks for us, and also a plumber as well for, like, plumbing system around the house, just so we know our house is in tip top shape. And also just to make sure that we don't accrue so much like bills that are unnecessary, that we could prevent, like electricity bills that we could actually mitigate, and not like spend so much on, and or maybe gas bills as well, like, it's there's so many expensive expenditures that we have. So maybe we could mitigate that by checking our gas supply, or even our electricity supply, just so everything is okay in our homes. And I know, Brother Cedar, we still have a third question that we'll quickly just go through before we proceed with the end of our segment. But I'll go ahead and ask you this question. Now, Brother CJ, why do you think? I know we've mentioned a little bit about this. Why do you think it's essential for us to be prepared for possible unfavorable weather conditions during the winter periods?
Well, yes, absolutely, Sister Sandy. Because apart from being normal, mere mortals and human beings experiencing the cold of the winter, um, because we don't have the skin to be able to adapt to the winter, like the polar bears. It's very important to prepare for it. To have, because when you because during the winter season, it's like we've mentioned earlier, it's always the sickness that comes with it during the winter months, um especially for those people with really weak resistance. They're easily affected by the weather change, from having been from having in a really warm room to being outside, which is very cold, and not enough, because sometimes people they unconsciously wrap themselves up not enough for the outside temperature because they feel really warm inside, and then they just wear like one or two layers of thin jackets because they feel really warm, and then once they go outside, and then they realize 3 minutes later, oh, it's actually really cold. And then it's too late for them to realize it until they feel that they feel that their nose are blocked, or their throat starts getting itchy, and because of the weak resistance. So it's very important to prepare thick jackets, warm drinks, warm beverages, tea or coffee, maybe for the coffee lovers, to get away from the sickness that the winter season brings.
And I know, Brother CJ, we are like closing up our segment, but it's very important for us to be prepared for the winter months because, like as we mentioned in Ireland, a small change in the weather could have a dramatic effect on how we drive up to work or get to work, or even activities that we need to do for school or for even the house. It gets affected so easily by the slight weather changes. So it's better for us to be winter prepared. Like for example, like even just adjusting your time to get to work maybe 10 or 15 minutes earlier would help out, or even just having a plan B in place would always help you out get to your point A to point B. And especially for us members of the Church of Christ, as much as we can, we try and plan ahead so that our worship services, our activities are not affected, and we will continue still performing our duties as officers, and also as members we continue fulfilling our duties to attend the worship services and the many activities happening in the church. So it's essential for us to be prepared and fully aware of um, dramatic or very significant weather changes, so that especially during the winter months, so that we are okay to get to our destination safely, get to our worship services safely, and be part of our worship service. And yes, that brings us to the end of our topic discussion. But don't be afraid, we're still continuing on with our program, but we will have a quick station break, and then we will be showing to you an Iglesia Ni Cristo original music cover called Windstorm. So please do enjoy that, and we will back with you for more of our program for this afternoon on INC Radio United Kingdom Satellite Studio.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesia Ni Cristo.
our most beloved brother, Brother Eduardo Manalo.
We who are here in the district of Hawaii Pacific are sending you our warmest greetings.
And we promise you po to continue to do what pleases our Almighty God. Happy birthday po! We love you so much po!
Happy birthday po! We love you 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 so much po!
This world is full of pain, suffering and anxiety, war and disaster, eagles playing society. Kids go hungry, parents lose their jobs. Some say they don't have any more time for God. Yes, living this world is a struggle for everybody. It's hard to breathe, what is a danger? All surrounded like a dark cloud at a doorstep trying to enter. But you servants of God will never surrender.
God is on our side, with him we can survive. We're standing all these calamities, threatening lives. If we're knocked down, that's another chance to rise and prove our faith as members of the Church of Christ. Fierce winds are coming, flood waters around, earthquakes bringing entire cities to the ground. But we will stand tall amidst the wreckage all around, holding on to the promise of the eternal crown.
God in heaven, today is showing near. All the people of this wicked earth are now living in fear. But we will not lose hope. Your promises inside. We are children, never worry because we
There's a rise in the rate of crime. Violence, every corner striking at any time. We try to fight our fears, the tears we keep from crying. Still it's hard to fight the pain when somebody we love is dying. Don't give up on prayer and don't give up the battle. This world isn't our home, but on this ground we must travel. Pray to God for strength and stability. Unwavering faith, sincere love and humility.
Oppressed on every side but not crushed. Perplexed but not driven to despair. Persecuted but not abandoned. Attacked but not destroyed. Cause our God will always be there.
We may be hard pressed on every side but not crushed. Perplexed but not driven to despair. Persecuted but not abandoned. Attacked but not destroyed. Cause our God will always be there. God in heaven, today is showing near. All the people of this wicked earth are now living in fear. But we will not lose hope. Promises inside. We are children, never worry because we members of the Church of Christ.
I'd like to thank the Church of Christ.
Thank you for your kindness.
We're very, very proud to be associated with the Church of Christ.
Your gesture is phenomenal.
It's helping other people.
We would not be here without people like you.
I'm so happy for the community.
God in heaven, today is drawing near. All the people of this wicked earth are now living in fear. But we will not lose hope. Your promises inside. We are children, never worry because we're members of the Church of Christ.
Welcome back, and you're still tuned in with us here on INCRadio, United Kingdom Satellite Studio. And we are now, Sister Stanley, going. Oh, sorry, that was. I was just going to introduce a little bit of the music video that we have shown just a few seconds ago, which is Windstorms. We've seen some familiar faces there as well from our brethren in the districts of Britain North and Britain South. But speaking of those districts, Sister Stanley, we will go now to our Christian Family Organizations in Action, where we will be reporting recent activities held in our districts during the previous weeks. Take it away,
Yes,
Sister Stanley.
we will be talking about some of the activities conducted in the districts of Britain South, Britain North, and in our very own district of Ireland. So, firstly, we will be talking about an activity conducted in Britain South, which is in conducted in the local congregation of Heathrow North first. So we will be discussing about their cleanup drive, and it will be shown in your screens in a couple of moments where our brethren from that local congregation, Buklod, Kadiwa, Binhi. So the Buklod members are those who are married couples. The Kadiwa members are the single brethren from the ages of 18 onwards. And the Binhi members are the youth members of the church who are baptized from the ages of 12 to 17. And they've gathered together to serve their community, clean up the community. And as you can see there, they gather together to continue conducting activities like this. And again, we'd like to say hello to all of our brethren there from the local congregation of Heathrow who joined together for this activity. And again, for our second activity that we will be discussing another activity from the District of Britain South, and this is from the local congregation of Heathrow North. So you will be seeing in your screens in a couple of moments. We will be showing you, yes, the second video there, which is conducted in the local congregation of Heathrow, just outside the UMO building, where our brethren distributed friendly freebies from the vicinity of that building, and they share their faith as well. So as you can see there, our brethren are so happy engaging with the community. And as you can see there, Brother Seth is with our brethren from that local congregation. I'd like to say hello to Brother Seth and to all of our brethren who joined in and took part in this activity. And I know we will have so many more activities like this where we continue to help out our communities that we belong in, and also continue to share our faith through INC giving activities. So that's our second activity for our program this afternoon. And I know, Brother CJ, we have another activity from our very own District of Ireland, right?
Yes, absolutely, Sister Sandy. So the next activity that we will be showing our viewers is the Ballymena inaugural worship service here in our district of Ireland. So our district has recently conducted and inaugurated another a group worship service in Ballymena, which is part of Northern Ireland, and also part of our district, the ecclesiastical district of Ireland. Now, this was officiated by our district supervising minister, Brother Pepito Cuesta, together with the other ministers and our evangelical workers in our district, but most especially our the resident minister of the local congregation of Belfast in Northern Ireland, our brother Rob Polankos. And this was participated by the brethren all over the districts. The church officers were there to organize the event, and also to perform their holy obligations as well, and to witness the preaching of the words of God written in the Bible as prepared for by the church administration, and as taught, as mentioned earlier, as taught by our district supervising minister, Brother Pepito Y. Cuesta. And as you can see on the image, as you can see on the images there, Sister Sandy, we had this marks a historic occasion for not only for our district, the ecclesiastical district of Ireland, but also for the church, for the whole world, as this is, thanks be to God, as this is an expansion of the works of propagation in this part of the world, and which would bring more people to know the truth inside the Church of Christ.
Yes, that's very true, Brother CJ. And again, we thank the church administration for allowing us to add another group worship services to look after the spiritual needs of our brethren all over the world. And we thank our Almighty God for allowing our district to add another group worship service of Palomina to look after the spiritual needs of our brethren up there, up north. In the Northern Ireland. And that brings us to the end of our CFO in Action segment. And we're almost to the end of our program. But before we do that, before we end our program this afternoon, we would like to express our thankfulness and gratefulness to the church administration. Firstly, we would like to greet our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our Christian Family Organization Coordinator, Brother Angelo Aranya V. Manalo, and we would also like to greet and say hello to all of our district supervising ministers of Britain South, Brother Harley Alcantara, and we would also like to say hello and greet Brother Anthony Peña, our district supervising minister of Britain North. And also for us here in the District of Ireland, we'd like to say hello to our district supervising minister, Brother Pepito Y. Acuesta. And also we'd like to extend our greetings and hellos to all of the ministers and workers in those three districts that we belong in. Now, Brother CJ, before we completely end our show, can you tell our listeners and our viewers what we've just discussed during our program and where to watch us?
Yes, absolutely, Sister Stanley. But before that, I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to everyone who's tuning in with us, and to all brethren in the District of Ireland, and to our sister Carla Elaine Gamboa, who's watching right now, and to baby little Elaine. Hello, hello. I hope you're all doing well. Yes, Sister Stanley. So we hope that everyone who's tuning in right now have enjoyed our show today, and please continue to tune in to INCRadio United Kingdom Satellite Studio, and keep on watching and listening to INCRadio via live audio and video streaming at iglesianicristo.net/INCRadio. And you can also listen to us to the live audio streaming through your mobile phones by downloading the INCRadio mobile application on your smartphones, or via the YouTube channel. Just type and search INCRadio United Kingdom Satellite Studio and click on any of our show dates live now. And don't forget to visit CEBSI Incorporated in Facebook, Instagram, and X regarding church events that's happening around the world. And from everyone of us here at INCRadio UK, goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Happy Sunday.
INCRadio, DZEM 954, ang tinig ng katotohanan, himpilan ng Iglesia ni Cristo, sumasahimpapawid mula sa Quezon City.